Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special sort of impromptu edition of VOW Live here on the Voices of Wrestling YouTube channel. The phone lines are open. The Skype lines are open. You can phone into the show at 260-494-3811, or you can Skype in. The username is Let's Say Things, LETSSAYTHINGS. And I want to thank those who are watching on the YouTube channel right now. We have a couple of news bits to talk about and so forth. And if you want to call into the show, I would appreciate it. And we can talk any topic you want. Any topic you want. If it's the final deletion, which was a hot topic with Matt and Jeff Hardy last night on Impact Wrestling. And really, when is the last time we had Impact Wrestling as a #1 topic? I mean, Impact Wrestling has been at sometimes a joke in the pro wrestling world. At sometimes, I think from all accounts, the show has been pretty good lately, but not a lot of people taking it seriously. And then Matt and Jeff Hardy last night pull out one of the craziest things in pro wrestling as far as television goes. I mean, you see that stuff sometimes on, Lucha Underground is one, but in a somewhat legit primetime organization, you don't see stuff as wacky as that usually. So I want your thoughts. I want to know how you interpreted the Matt and Jeff Hardy final deletion from last night. So give the screen here. If you're watching the video right now, the call-in numbers are on the screen. We got the YouTube chat going on. If you're not a subscriber right now, subscribe. That's what I tell you. Subscribe right now to the channel, voicesofwrestling.com/YouTube. I am working on getting the phone lines open, so they should be. If you have never called into the show before, call into the show. Try it. I'm not going to bite. Nothing's going to go wrong. It's going to be okay. It really is. It's going to be okay. So call into the show. And we also got, Brock Lesnar, the SummerSlam opponent. One of the big news items from last night. People watching for the SmackDown spoilers to see who Brock Lesnar's opponent is going to be at SummerSlam. Very odd that they would announce it before his UFC fight this Saturday. That's right, Brock Lesnar fighting in the UFC this Saturday. I think it's odd that they would announce it. The #1, I think when we did this show, when Jeff and I did Shake Them Ropes this week, and we talked about the Brock Lesnar opponent and how I thought it was weird timing that they would announce this opponent so soon. I just thought it was very odd because of, you don't know what's going to happen on Saturday, and you can always announce the opponent afterwards. We have a phone call on the line. We will get back to that topic shortly. 206, the area code 206. Your name and where are you calling from?
This is Supersonic in Seattle.
Hi, Supersonic from Seattle. How are you today?
All right. I'd like to discuss two topics that no one is actually discussing right now.
Oh, we got some flyers here. Go ahead.
Yeah, first one, Seth Rollins.
Okay, yes, Seth Rollins, yeah.
Okay, obviously he's not as hot as he should be, right? We all know that.
Well, I don't know. I think some people think he's a pretty attractive guy. I mean, a lot of people call him pretty attractive, so he might be as hot as he should be, sure.
Oh, yeah, but yeah, in terms of the momentum, what I wanted to bring up is that I really feel that the fan base needs to be a bit more patient because before he got injured, the plan obviously was for him to face Triple H at WrestleMania this year. Mm-hmm. And if they were going to do that, well, they're probably going to end up doing that at some point. I would say by the latest, it's upcoming WrestleMania in Orlando.
Sure.
And if I was a betting man, who do you think is going to be the babyface? I would say Seth Rollins is going to be babyface.
I would think by the time, if they actually do the Seth Rollins Triple H match, that Seth Rollins would be a babyface there. That's what I believe. I think he would be a babyface in that situation.
And I think there's a motivation for it. Triple H can say, I handpicked you and you let me down and you're the reason, it all failed and yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. The other topic I did want to bring up, not that I'm expecting this to happen, but I mentioned this on the Observer Forum, is regarding Kurt Angle. I don't know if you've noticed this looking at the schedule. The night after Battleground, Raw is actually in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Oh, you don't say. That's an interesting one. I know there were some people out there thinking that Kurt Angle would show up on Raw on July 4th. some people out there thinking that Kurt Angle is going to be on every Raw until he finally does show up. Like it's another Finn Balor situation where he's just going to be, he's the plan for the future until he's actually the plan. I think it's very interesting about Kurt Angle. He could very well show up in Pittsburgh. They have this storyline where they're bringing back the old GMs, and guess who was an old GM of SmackDown for a short period of time? It was Kurt Angle. He could squeak in there somehow in the next week, but I don't think that's going to happen in the next week anyway.
Yeah, anyone who was thinking like that he was going to come in on a throwaway ratings night like Independence Day just doesn't have their finger on the pulse. I think if it was going to happen, I think the way that they could do it, and I wouldn't actually do it as a surprise.
Okay.
What I would actually do is just like have, I guess if he's going to be returning for Raw, then whoever's running Raw can actually say on the draft show, we draft Kurt Angle, but Angle doesn't show up on that SmackDown. They say he will show up next week on Raw in Pittsburgh. Get some money out of it. Sell some tickets in Pittsburgh.
So are you, is this a hypothesis or you think it's going to happen? Is Kurt Angle going to show up on WWE TV?
I don't believe it's going to happen. I don't believe they're going to touch Kurt Angle until he agrees to retire and go into the Hall of Fame.
Okay. Yeah. And the Hall of Fame is very well the next time we possibly could see him. Absolutely. It's very interesting. Supersonic, I want to thank you very much for calling in today.
Oh, definitely.
All right. Brand new call. I don't think Supersonic from Seattle had ever called in before. I know we had a couple of other people trying to get in the line there. I can only answer one at a time. I used to try and answer a second one and just keep them on the line, but I don't have a way of muting that second line. So I try to only answer one at a time. If you try to call in and can't get through the first time, either stay on the line until I can get to you. I obviously want to try and get to as many calls as we can, or once you hear someone off the line, call in again. I know we had a couple of people trying in there. That's very interesting. Kurt Angle. The time is running out for him to take part in this old GM storyline where they show up on Raw or SmackDown. That time is probably gone. But it's very interesting about Kurt Angle, how he can come back. I don't think too many are expecting him to actually come back and wrestle for WWE. If you're expecting him back, he's probably just going to show up and be some type of off or out of the ring character or something to that effect. We do have another call on the line, 324. I want to thank you for calling back in. Your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, it's Ludovic from Belgium.
Oh, well, hello from Belgium, 324. Very interesting. I'm guessing one of those is the country code, I'm imagining. But how's it going in Belgium tonight?
Yes, it's me. I really didn't know how to call. How it works for United States, but
you made
I really wanted to call because I live. Because I'm sorry, my dog is barking outside. It's the evening here in Belgium. Anyway, yes, I wanted to call because I wanted to talk about the Cruiserweight Classic.
Absolutely, yeah, the Cruiserweight Classic kicking off late tonight for you. Tonight here in the States, the bracketology special. Are you amped up for this thing?
Oh yes, really. I write for a French website, and I had to watch matches of the 32 guys. Even the Anthony Bennett and Kenneth Johnson and the Sierra Brothers of the world. I had to watch all matches of all the guys. I'm really amped up because there are some unknown guys like Anthony Bennett. He's actually quite good in the ring.
Yeah, I think a lot of these guys are going to surprise people because, most of the folks going in here may have heard the names before, but they've never actually seen any of these guys wrestle, or at least extensively. So for you who's familiar with those lesser names, that's got to be pretty exciting. I always get a kick out of when I see names who maybe wrestled independently locally show up on the big stage because I've seen them before. I know what they can do. That's pretty cool going in here knowing that some of these lower names can actually produce.
And I think that some of the guys, like Damian Slater, for example, or Tyson Dux, there are already some veterans on the indie scene. They're already wrestling for a few years. I think they might get in for, to train the guys. I think you look at Damian Slater, he's everything that they would want. He's experienced, great body, he's smooth in the ring, he's Australian, he can work as a liaison for the new Australian guys. They have, I think, 5 or 6 guys from Australia in the Performance Center. I think some of the guys will be just signed to help the younger guys.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like you take Raul Mendoza, for example. Also, it's another case, but he's really experienced. I mean, he worked a lot in Mexico, also in Japan. Nobody knows him. I mean, almost nobody. But yeah, I think that some of the guys, not necessarily the stars, but some of the unknown guys will be signed. For example, for me, 50% will get a contract of some sort.
Oh, wow. So 50%. Yeah, I could see a large portion of these guys being brought back for sure for future shows. Whether these guys get signed, that'll be interesting to watch. Because this is a definite tryout scenario for a lot of these guys too, because the WWE,
it's a giant tryout.
Right, absolutely, giant tryout. Can I get you to predict who you think is going to walk away with the Cruiserweight Classic championship? Maybe it's a trophy, maybe it's a ring, maybe it's a belt. I don't know what it's going to be. Who's going to win this thing?
I think it's a trophy, but for me the final four will be Tozawa, because he really wants to get in WWE, and he has a lot of friends right there. Zack Sabre Jr.
Sure.
Because he's a star. Kota Ibushi, he also has a lot of friends right there, and Tajiri just got signed. So I think it's to help the Japanese to get acclimated in the United States. And for the fourth one, I would say either Rich Swann, because he's the only WWE contracted guy, or
he's the only
Johnny
one right
Gargano.
Johnny Gargano, absolutely. Yeah, Johnny Gargano, I think, is going to surprise some people. I like the Tozawa pick because I'm a big fan of Akira Tozawa. I think he's going to be the most really impressive in this entire tournament. I think he's going to be the stealer of the show in this entire tournament. I would think he's going to be welcome back in WWE later on if he wants to be there.
Nah, I think he wants to. I think your buddy Joe Lanza knows from good sources that he really wants to be there. And I can see him totally fit, especially with the NXT crowd that really get a kick out of guys like him, with some theatrical style, I would say. Funny guy in the ring too. I mean, he's really entertaining, and that would go really well with the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you very much calling in from Belgium there. I hope you have a wonderful night.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Oh, you're welcome. All righty. A call all the way from Belgium there. We've got the United States now. We've got Belgium. So you UKers, you're out there. I know you're out there. You Californians, I know you're out there. You get a call into the show. I had a goal of 3 calls. So far, we're already 2/3 of the way there. Because the last time we tried this, especially impromptu, I only announced this an hour ago on the Twitter feed. Twitter, you can follow me at Shake Them Ropes. I announced this an hour ago on the Twitter feed, and the last time we tried to do one of these impromptu ones, we had a pretty good audience. We just, they weren't ready to call in. It was the middle of the day. You're not expecting something like this. So it's a little bit of a surprise, if you will. To finish the thought on Brock Lesnar, and we do have the open lines right now. So if you're watching, call in. But I want to thank Belgium for calling in. Brock Lesnar. The one, when I put out on the show on Shake Them Ropes this week, when I put it out on Twitter that I don't get the timing of announcing a opponent for Brock Lesnar on SmackDown before his fight, a lot of the responses were, well, they can announce an opponent and that opponent can actually show up at UFC on Saturday and start a whole thing with Brock. Maybe face off with him outside of the ring when he's walking back, kind of like The Undertaker did. And what I don't like about that is if you announce opponent and then they show up, I don't think it gets enough hype. I don't think it actually does the job of what the Undertaker confrontation did. Part of the reason why Undertaker confronting Brock Lesnar took off so much was not only that it was right there in front of you with Ariel Helwani interviewing the Undertaker and they had the good camera angle, but you weren't expecting it. It's not like Undertaker was announced as going there to be an opponent for Brock and then they do the stare off. It was, oh, what are they building for? I think if you have a Randy Orton, if you have Bray Wyatt, if you have a Rusev, whoever it may be, show up the night of, I think that's a little bit better. And then on the next Raw, on the next SmackDown, you can actually start building up the match. I don't get announcing the opponent first and then doing whatever angle you're going to do. And who knows if they can even do an angle on Saturday because you can't script this. Brock Lesnar could get knocked out. He may need medical attention. Maybe he wins and goes nuts and he's not worried about a WWE angle to shoot. There's a lot of different things that can go differently. Not wrong, not right, but differently. I don't think you put it in the hands of not only another company, but a live thing you can't control whatsoever. We have someone in the chat room asking, wait, did they announce an opponent already? No, they didn't. We're going to find out on SmackDown. Now, SmackDown airs in Canada tonight. SmackDown airs in the US and other places from Thursday on throughout the weekend. The live crowd in Toledo last night did not get a graphic for who Brock Lesnar's opponent was going to be. Now, maybe they don't actually announce one on SmackDown. Maybe they realize the mistake they're making. And, I feel they're making a mistake. Maybe they realize that mistake they're making. And they end up not announcing a person on SmackDown. They've done this before. They've made many, many, many announcements on Raw for something that's going to happen on SmackDown. And guess what? It doesn't happen. They just forget about it. They don't even acknowledge it. They forget about it. They just say, hey, this doesn't happen. They change the plans. Plans change, if you will. I'm hoping plans change. Don't announce an opponent for Brock Lesnar tomorrow night on SmackDown. But if they do, we should find out tonight if it airs in Canada, or maybe they wait until the US versions and we get that tomorrow. Randy Orton is the big talk. A lot of people thinking Randy Orton's going to come back. I don't. If I had to pick one name, I would pick Rusev, but I'm going the Field. In a poll of Randy Orton versus the Field, I'm going the Field. I know Dave Meltzer is doubling down. I know there's other journalist, Justin LaBar of I think he's based in Pennsylvania. He's pretty connected. He's going Randy Orton. He's actually, going out there reporting that it will be Randy Orton, coming from sources. Maybe that's the case. If it's Randy Orton, I would love a Randy Orton-Brock Lesnar match. I'm not a hater on Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar. It just doesn't seem like the right time, and it doesn't seem like something WWE would do, especially when Randy Orton may not even be cleared to return yet. Maybe Randy Orton, I know it's almost a month and a half away, this pay-per-view, the SummerSlam pay-per-view. I don't think Randy Orton's it. I'm going Rusev. If you have a name that you believe strongly is going to be the Brock Lesnar opponent, go ahead and give us a call in. Let's Say Things is the Skype name. 260-494-3811 is the phone number. If you're calling from out of the country on a cell phone, dial that +sign, the number 1, and then the number 260-494-3811. Don't be afraid. I do not bite. Let's see. We got, and there's also Bray Wyatt is a name that keeps coming up for the Brock Lesnar opponent too. Bray Wyatt is a name that keeps popping up, which makes even less sense than Randy Orton. If you're going to announce that on Tuesday, if you're going to announce that on SmackDown this week, because Bray Wyatt right now is stuck in the middle of a feud with the New Day. So what are you doing? Are you lame ducking that program to announce Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar for the SummerSlam pay-per-view? Do you think Bray Wyatt right now is at a high enough level to make that match somewhat interesting? Now, the argument could be, well, is Rusev? I think Rusev's on a higher level at the moment. But I don't think Bray Wyatt's going to be it whatsoever. The Cruiserweight Classic, of course, we had the nice caller from Belgium chiming in on the Cruiserweight Classic. I think Akira Tozawa is going to make the Final Four. I think he's going to impress a lot of people who may not already be familiar with him. But the Cruiserweight Classic bracketology, and the reason why this bracketology special is important tonight is even if you've already paid attention to the spoilers, even if you already know who's winning all the first-round matches and know who the first-round matches are, this bracketology special is still important for you because now you get to see what those second-round matches are going to be. You get to hype yourself up even more. The next tapings are coming up next Thursday, next Friday, July 14th, whatever day July 14th is, I believe, the next tapings. It's a big deal. Go find out what the second round matches are going to be. Maybe you see where Kota Ibushi is in the grouping. Maybe you see where Johnny Gargano is actually, what his future matchups might be. Maybe you kind of piece together, get some conspiracy theories, get some theories out there, who the Final Four might be based on the bracketology. A lot of people I'm picking Kota Ibushi and Akira Tozawa to be in the Final Four. Well, guess what? Maybe they're in the same side of the bracket. Maybe they're not, maybe in the same quarters of the bracket. And they can't possibly both make the Final Four. That's why this bracketology special might be a big deal. I had a poll up at Shake Them Ropes to finish the Brock Lesnar thought. 52% of those responding to my poll, out of the options of being Randy Orton as the opponent, Bray Wyatt, Rusev, Kevin Owens, or other, 52% picked Randy Orton. So a majority picked Randy Orton versus any other possible name as being named the Brock Lesnar opponent. And if Justin LaBar is out there trying to confirm that Randy Orton's the opponent, that's pretty good information. I'm not going off of any other speculation. I'm still thinking that it's not ended up being Randy Orton. It's not going to happen. We haven't had a call yet in the final deletion. Are people already over the final deletion? Or you just don't want to talk about it? What's more to say? Oh, it was crazy. Oh, it was fun. Celia Bloom in the chat room saying, oh, Rusev is the opponent. That would be interesting. I agree. I think so. You can have it for the U.S. title. You can have it a non-title match. I think it's pretty interesting. We got Philip just on Rusev. Wouldn't have called Titus a higher level. There was probably a first comment I missed in there. I don't know. I want to appreciate everyone watching in the chat room right now. If you have not already done so, hit that thumbs up like button. I would appreciate that. Subscribe to the channel. It is free to do so. Subscribe to the channel and you can get information on future live shows that we do, as well as our post pay-per-view shows that I do with Jeff Hawkins, part of Shake Them Ropes. One other piece of information before we get into the big Moose TNA topic. Maybe you want to call in about Moose. Some reports coming out today. A report coming out yesterday about Moose, and then we'll get to some new reports today. I know Russell out there saying Orton is the opponent. Well, he's not yet, so we'll see. I know Justin LeBar out there, Dave Meltzer doubling down on Randy Orton being the opponent. Nothing's been announced yet, and until it is, ain't no one the opponent. Put that on a shirt. Ain't no one the opponent. Actually, don't put that on a shirt. Let me see if I can sell one or two to family members. We have Mark Henry. Mark Henry is making a non-WWE appearance next month for Harley Race's World League Wrestling. Mark Henry is not going to be wrestling according to World League Wrestling, but he is going to be making an appearance for Harley Race's World League Wrestling on a show called, interestingly enough, The Night of Champions. Obviously, the September pay-per-view in Indianapolis for WWE was supposed to be called Night of Champions. It is now officially changed to Clash of Champions, not Clash of the Champions, Clash of Champions, mind you, but Night of Champions, World League Wrestling. They are having Mark Henry come in. Mark Henry is not done with WWE. He is not wrestling on the World League Wrestling show. He is coming in for appearances and to sign autographs, but that is popping up over the internet here. Want to remind everyone, Shake Them Ropes. You can go to bit.ly/STR iTunes to subscribe to my podcast with Jeff Harkins, Shake Them Ropes. You can subscribe on iTunes. All the information up at voicesofwrestling.com/STR. We had a new episode this week in which we talk more in depth about Brock Lesnar and his SummerSlam opponent and the Cruiserweight Classic beginning, as well as the Cody Rhodes hoax. Joe Lanza of the Voices of Wrestling podcast last week went into all the information about why Cody Rhodes possibly could be still working with WWE for his little excursion. So the conspiracy theories are out there. Is Cody Rhodes still involved with WWE but working his own thing? Did he leave WWE so that he could work his own thing? All I know right now is his contract is up August 16th. And then he can start actually wrestling these matches, doing whatever he wants. Writing a book about Dusty Rhodes, apparently. The call-in number 260-494-3811. The Skype number, Let's Say Things. We got about 7 minutes left on the show, so if you are thinking of calling in, hurry up and get in here. I want to hit my goal. Who's going to help me? Who's going to be the hero? Who's going to be the hero to call in to finish this call-in show up, to get my third call? Modest goal. I just wanted 3. I just wanted 3 calls today. Modest goal here on the VOW live show. So if you have not, better call in. Better call in. We have a chat room member saying the deletion, the final deletion is not something I'd usually watch. However, I have heard and read it, included fire and summoning things. I don't know how I can refuse that. Yes, you cannot refuse fire and the summoning of demons and spirits and so forth on your wrestling show. Philip says, as per my tweet earlier, the final deletion was so unexpected, mind-bendingly weird and uncool that it made TNA cool again. It was so uncool that it made TNA cool. Embrace what you are. Embrace what you can do. That's what TNA did. Give credit out there to Jeremy Borash. If you guys are out there on the Twitter, say, hey, thanks, Jeremy Borash, for that cool thing. Rob, do you include the country code next time? Makes calling in easier for non-US people. That's right. If you are calling from Europe, for example, on a cell phone, dial the +1 and then 260-494-3811. Yes, I can absolutely include the country code and the international calling for landlines and cell phones next time. That is a good idea. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. Moose to TNA. The final topic I had on here, Moose to TNA. Reports came out from Pro Wrestling Sheet. Ryan Satin, formerly of TMZ, reported that Impact Wrestling has offered ROH's Moose, Quinn Ojanaka, a contract, a big money deal, WWE apparently out a little soft on Moose based on a 2009 arrest. I believe it was 2009. Based on a arrest when he was in the NFL that suspended him for a game, that caused him to get suspended for a game. WWE softening on Moose potentially coming in. He's also 32 years old. He's a little older. Coming into NXT, they don't care too much about age. They bring in older guys all the time, usually when they have a name behind them already. But Moose kind of has an indie name out there right now, and he fits their mold at the same time. He's one of those dual threats for WWE where he fits what they look for with the sports background, the size, as well as having somewhat of an indie cred. But WWE doesn't look to be the case right now. It looks like TNA is officially kind of the one who's going to be winning. They might be the leaders in the clubhouse for Moose's services. But it's very interesting. You had MLW, you had Court Bauer's Major League Wrestling Network today. They fancy themselves sometimes newsbreakers because they had one of the biggest breaking news stories of the year earlier this year with the New Japan talent jump to WWE. But not often are they actual newsbreakers. Today they went out there and confirmed, they put their neck out on the line that Moose was signed to TNA. And then after doing that, they actually contacted Moose and Moose said, no, it's not true. I'm not with TNA right now. You had Ryan Satin, who stuck to his guns, saying that there's no official deal. We know of an offer, but there's no official deal. And then, of course, Ryan Satin proved to be correct on that. Pro Wrestling Sheet proved to be correct on that because there is no deal yet for Moose, although all signs point to him actually going to TNA. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up like button. We're last call for phone calls if you want to call in. We got 3 minutes left. I was going to make this a half an hour show. We started at 3:30 Eastern. We're almost to that point where it's 4 Eastern. If you want to call in, it's the final countdown to do so. But I want to thank everyone for watching this impromptu VOW live. I have information in the show notes on YouTube where you can subscribe to this podcast. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to voicesofwrestling.com. You can subscribe to Shake Them Ropes, my podcast. Hit me up on Twitter at Shake Them Ropes. That is pretty much the big news of the weekend. Of course, Saturday night is Brock Lesnar's UFC 200 fight. What's going to happen with his SummerSlam opponent? What's going to happen with him in the ring at UFC? What's going to happen with Brock Lesnar? We'll find out more this weekend. Moose to TNA looks like that's going to be wrapping up in the next couple of days, but not official yet. Mark Henry to World League Wrestling. He is working for Harley Race as far as making an appearance. He's not actually going to wrestle. Not actually going to wrestle. We have in the comments, we have Philip saying, a good move for Moose. He doesn't suit WWE and NXT. He's done his time in Ring of Honor. New Japan or TNA is perfect. Yeah, New Japan might have been nice too. I don't know if he's going to get the money or the time in New Japan that he would have liked. He also seems like a very important person. He wants money now. He's done the Ring of Honor route. He's done the independent route. Maybe he's just trying to cash in now. And if WWE's not there, TNA might be the next best thing. They got a recent infusion of money with Billy Corgan. How long that lasts, we don't know. But they have money for talent. They may get production people upset with them. TNA may not be 100% full on their priorities. They seem to be paying the talent. They got the money for the talent. It's just the production people. There's issues going on there. But TNA getting some positive press this week. So good for TNA. Hooray. Positive press this week. You got Ethan Carter out there doing a green screen. This green screen, by the way, all improvised, all at the behest of Ethan Carter III. I wanted to improve while also decreasing the production value all at the same time. So you can thank EC3 for that and so forth. Thank you all for watching live. Thank you for joining the YouTube channel. Subscribe, like this video, share it, even though we won't be live here in a minute. You can still share it. I think it was a fun show. I enjoyed our calls. Thanks to Belgium for calling in. A lot of fun topics. Hopefully everyone enjoys your weekend. Jeff and I will be back with another Shake Them Ropes next week. Catch this week's version at voicesofwrestling.com/STR. Subscribe to the podcast. We will see you all the next time here on the VOW YouTube. Goodbye, everybody.